Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Thursday, March 21st edition of Established to Run's NBA Injury Analysis Show. I am Mark Dankenbring, joined here as always by Mike Gallagher, and special Thursday here as the NCAA tournament tipped off. We are not focusing on that here today, though, as we are on the NBA still. So here with one of the great injury analysts in the industry, Mike Gallagher. How you doing today on this fine Thursday?
Yeah, doing good. I haven't spent a second on NCAA. Can maybe tell you two players tops. Obviously, I will know a lot more of them when summer league comes around and draft season comes around. But yeah, Dink and I just recorded a podcast on how to bet late season NBA. Gave up a lot of the goods. Really shouldn't be free. With everything that Dink and I have learned over the years, should be evergreen too. So really, I love when we kind of do pods like that. So that should be on your feed pretty soon. But really, the number one thing if you've been late season NBA, just watch this show. You'll probably be okay.
That's awesome. Can't wait to listen to that. You guys always have great insight, and obviously we put that insight into our product every day. You get a taste of it on the free content here on the Injury Show, and then we have a lot going on behind the paywall as well. And hopefully keep the strong record going down the stretch here. We only got about 3 full weeks left of the NBA, 3 weeks and a couple days, so definitely closing in on the end here. But let's get to it on this Thursday. We have a nice 7-game slate, a handful of back-to-backs here. I'll mention that as we get to it. But let's start with the first game of the night, the New Orleans Pelicans at Orlando Magic. It is the front end of a back-to-back for the Pelicans, only team on the front end here today. On the Pelicans injury report, pretty much the same as we've seen lately with the out tags: Dyson Daniels, Malcolm Hill, EJ Liddell, and Darion Sebron all out. We do have a new listing with Matt Ryan listed questionable with an illness. He's currently not in the rotation, so not necessarily an impactful questionable tag there. And then our favorite, Cody Zeller, listed available with the face mask here for probably like the 3rd month running. But any insight here on the Pelicans as they take on the Magic tonight?
Yeah, not too much. Zion's crushing. No one's really injured. They're healthy. There was that report from Brian Windhorst that Zion's lost like 25 pounds. And it shows, man. Zion's been spectacular. The minutes have been really good. Yeah, Valanciunas minutes are down. Pretty much good to go. Don't think there's too much to say. It just says they want to play Trey Murphy more. And it's, again, cutting into Joe Val. So, yeah, pretty much. It's nice to have, nothing on the Pelicans injury report. So, good stuff.
For sure. That Zion alley-oop where he caught it basically like the second block and was still able to slam it home was incredible. Some cool pics there of him fully extended. That was fun highlight from the game against the Nets the other night. On the Magic side, again, pretty clean here as well. Kind of what we've seen of late. Jet Howard, Trevelyan Queen, Kevin Harris all listed out. Notable here, Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac not on the injury report, similar to Tuesday. So after coming off that absolute smackdown of the Hornets, any insight on the Magic here and any potential changes or just kind of status quo here for this one?
Yeah, status quo. Again, a team that's been healthy for a little bit now. We saw, Jalen just continue to play awesome, man. They're really making a case for him for first team all defense, and he's also making a case himself. He's been really good. Yeah, tough. A lot of good defense here. A little bit different for how they defend, shoot stuff, and the Pelicans give that up a little bit. So it's something that we'll definitely be talking about later on DFS show. But yeah, really nothing here to mention.
Sweet. We had a question about where to listen to the podcast you and Drew did this morning. I think it'll be posted later this afternoon wherever you listen to podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, all the good stuff. It's available everywhere. Just search the Established to Run NBA podcast and it should pop up for you there anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah, we just finished recording it like 30 minutes ago. So just give producer Luke is on it right now. Should be up probably before the game start tonight.
Love it. Shout out producer Luke. All right, second game of the slate. We have the Sacramento Kings at Washington Wizards. It's the back end of a back-to-back for the Kings. After they manhandled the Raptors last night in Toronto, they will travel to Washington to take on the Wizards. On the Kings injury report, they did file already, so we have some clarity here. Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles still remain out with their respective injuries. Mason Jones and Jordan Ford remain listed out as well. And then we have this Sasha Vezenkov questionable tag with an ankle sprain. This is kind of the story of the Kings injury report last couple of months. Vezenkov with this has been listed questionable a ton with ankle sprain, typically has not played through the questionable tag. So any insight on his potential availability tonight?
No, I kind of think he's sitting. He's been, if we tracked like most questionable to outs, he's like for sure in the running for most. So think they just probably sit him anyways. Harrison Barnes went to the locker room, came back, started, had his rotation cut short in the second half because they just blew him out. So yeah, pretty much expecting the same situation here. Again, just huge blowout. Have a little bit of blowout baked in here for a big spread. But yeah, Keon Ellis played awesome. Really good defense again. Mike Brown basically said he's going to start, as I mentioned yesterday, so he's locked and loaded. The question is, when Kevin Herter comes back, did Keon Ellis just beat him while he pip season? So I think that's definitely on the table. But yeah, rotation pretty much straightforward here. Don't really have much to add. Three teams so far with very little injury info. We love it. That's going to change coming up though.
Yeah, on the Wizards side, lengthy injury report here. They do have some players coming back. Kyle Kuzma is off the injury report, so he'll be available tonight. But still a ton of players listed out here. Marvin Bagley, Bilal Coulibaly, Tyus Jones, Isaiah Livers, Eugene Omoyuri, and Landry Shamet all remain out here. And then a couple questionable tags to deal with. Rashawn Holmes and Denny Avdia are questionable tonight. I know last night on our playback stream, you were hinting that you think the Wizards guys, the questionable tags are more likely to sit than not. Do you still feel that way, or any other extended thoughts here on the Wizards?
Yeah, not too much. Just he said they were day to day, so they might just sit him. We've seen Denny get banged up a bunch of times, so could definitely see him sitting. Rashawn Holmes illness tag, I can never really read those. Just not much to tell. So yeah, obviously Holmes played pretty well, just missed a double. So he should, if he's in, I assume he starts because their guard depth's really, really thin. So I think as a way to save their guard depth, they probably start Kuzma at the 4, meaning they start Jordan Poole. If they do have Denny, they would start him. But then, either way, I think they have to if they don't have Denny, I think that's even more of a case. They have to start Rashawn Holmes there. So yeah, kind of where we're at. Should mention that Jared Butler played pretty well at the bench, got talked up a bunch, was kind of actually really good in this game. I would say he was their best player. But if you take out the first Corey Kispert, like 3 minutes where he hit like 3 threes, Butler was great. And I think he can ball, man. We see him from Utah play pretty well. So kind of keep an eye on him. But, Jordan Poole, they did not. Alvin Thompson played great defense on Jordan Poole. Much to our chagrin, we had a Poole over, which, those are never fun. So, yeah, I think that mostly covers it. But, yeah, bottom line, don't have a great read on Poole. And I think Denny might sit, but not confident at all. I think that he's got a chance to play.
Cool. So I think the 3 locked-in starters here are Jordan Poole, Corey Kispert, and Kyle Kuzma. And then depending on who's available, we'll kind of fill out the rest of the starting 5 there. So hopefully we get some clarity tonight ahead of the slate locking that you guys can discuss on the DFS show. Yeah. But yeah, kind of flying blind at this point on Holmes and Denny Avdia, because if they're both in, we'd probably project them close to 60 minutes combined, maybe even a little more than that. So certainly, impactful questionable tags here with how thin the Wizards could be on the back end there.
And I should have mentioned that I think Justin Champagnie would start. They've been talking about him being in the system and really developing. He's been great. So I think if Denny did miss, it would be Justin Champagnie sliding into the starting lineup.
Cool. Let's move along to the third game of the night, which has injury information on both sides to dissect. On the Nets, it's the Brooklyn Nets at Milwaukee Bucks. On the Nets side, Ben Simmons, Dariq Whitehead remain out here along with 3 G Leaguers, but a notable G Leaguer that was called up is Noah Clowney. So he is listed available tonight, and that is important because Dorian Finney-Smith is listed out, and then Nick Claxton is listed questionable with an illness. Claxton did not go through shoot-around this morning, which is somewhat typical for an illness tag, I feel like. So any additional insight here on Claxton? Do you think the Clowney call up is an indication that he might sit? And what are you thinking about the Nets rotation going into Milwaukee tonight?
Yeah, pretty good chance, right? You mentioned not at shoot around, and then they called up Clowney. That's a pretty big indication that they're not going to have him for this game. The Long Island Nets are at home, so that means they're calling them to bring them to Milwaukee. So that's a pretty big indication that he's going to sit to me. So Daron Sharp coming off career high 17 rebounds. Kevin Ollie talked about him for like 2 minutes about how great he is and how hard he works and how they need his rebounding. And that's like a big focus for the team. So Daron Sharp chalk season looks to be today's main story. And I think he's, pretty good chalk given how much his coach loves him. So yeah. And then, they'll go with Cam Johnson filling in for sure. So kind of for now expecting Schroeder, Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, Mikal, and expecting Daron Sharp to get the stars. I think Nick Claxton's going to miss.
Sounds good. On the other side of this game, we have another big, impactful injury. The Bucks on the second night of a back-to-back, they have not filed, so we are flying a little bit blind here. But Giannis Antetokounmpo listed out yesterday. You kind of hinted on yesterday's show that's it's
Mhm.
not an actual injury. He's just kind of dealing with soreness and some lingering, nagging injuries and tendonitis. Any insight on Giannis's chances to suit up tonight?
Yeah, I thought that was the plan. Punt this game off and get the one you think you can get. And that's I think what they did. They almost pulled it out. A lot of zone at Boston, like kind of fumbled it a little bit. They were really struggling with the zone. They shouldn't have. I thought they Joe Mazzulla talked about that. It's funny, just like quick aside. Mazzulla was like, "Hey, we screwed it up. We could beat the zone." And Doc's like, "Hey, it worked." So I was wondering, I listened to Doc's presser first, and I thought that Missoula might be like a gamesmanship. They're like, oh yeah, we struggle with it. So like when they play him again, the Bucks think the zone is good, and like Boston knows how to beat it. But anyways, I digress. So yeah, I think Giannis is in again over the weekend. Doc said that it's not an injury and they're just managing him. So I think it was back to back. And as I mentioned, I think Giannis is probably done playing back to backs the rest of the way. So I think he's in. Not sure. We saw him go on the bike when he did play it through the last time. So it is something, despite what Doc Rivers said, who doesn't talk to medical, as he said. So I think he's in. Obviously, if he's out, will be Jay Crowder, Connaughton, Beverly, Portis. Not national TV game Portis today. So not as much of a smash as he will be on Tuesday. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at on Giannis. Not too much else to
Cool.
add besides
What do you
because Doc
think
doesn't
on
tell anyone.
What do you think on Chris Middleton's status tonight? Obviously, you've
Yep.
been dealing with a lot of injuries this season and a back-to-back here. Do you think he has a good chance to suit up, or kind of do you think if like Giannis plays, Middleton is likely out, or vice
Yep.
versa? Or
Yeah, I think Middleton's sitting. They played him 33, 7 minutes up from where he was before. He's on, like I said, the coach thought he was going to be in a playoff game in February 22nd. So I think he's out. But I haven't looked at their minutes yet, but I think he's probably project him in. We'll see. Just an ankle sprain. Like it's not serious. It shouldn't have been serious, but it's Chris Middleton.
yeah, just given his injury history, I would expect them to be more cautious when they can. And after 33 minutes last night, and then traveling back to Milwaukee, last night's game
Mhm.
was in Boston, not necessarily the easiest of back to back. So I would lean that Middleton will miss and Giannis would suit up tonight, but we'll obviously see how that shakes out throughout the day. All right, we have a couple big questionable tags in this next game, the Chicago Bulls at Houston Rockets. On the Bulls side, Kobe White is listed questionable with that hip strain that's caused him to miss the last two games. And then Alex Caruso is questionable with a left ankle sprain. We also have the Bulls' typical out tags here at Patrick Williams, Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, and Julian Phillips. So this Bulls roster remains thin and will be especially thin if White and Caruso cannot suit up tonight. What do you think are the chances that Kobe White returns tonight? And then any read on this Caruso Q tag as well?
Yeah, Kobe White went through practice and he basically said as long as there's no setback with his hip, he'll be good to go. So probably a little bit of a cap on him given how bad it looked, but went through practice and they're expecting him to go. Alex Caruso did not practice, but this is not unusual. We've seen the Bulls will sit him because Alex Caruso's hurt all the time. We talked about that left toe, the big toe, by the way, the Bulls listing with big toe. Like that's different. Like he rolled his ankle. We saw him go to the locker room and he came back, looked okay, but they're just like load managing him for practice, which is nothing new. They've been doing this for Caruso for a couple years. So I think Caruso, despite not practicing, has a decent chance to play. So he would be starting. And then obviously if they didn't put him, if one of these guys didn't play, it would be Torrey Craig going in there. And we know the rest of the starters, Asumu, Vooch, and DeMar. Yeah, that's mostly it. But yeah, expecting Kobe almost for sure. And then Caruso leaning mostly in.
For Kobe, we've obviously seen a lot of like 38, 39, 40 minutes out of him. What do you think is his realistic ceiling tonight on this return from injury? Do you think it's capped at 36, 37, or do you think he could get up to that 38, 39 in this first game back?
Yeah, and we just got the Jazz injury report, which we'll get to. Yeah, I think like 36 is fair. They can't play him 40, right? If they come off
Yeah.
a hip injury like that, I think 40 is off the table, but maybe they go to 35, 36.
Okay, cool. And then Caruso would be important tonight with hoping to calm down this Jalen Green heater. But a couple of those games have come against the Wizards, so maybe it's not a true heater, but tonight will be a heat check for Jalen Green after a monstrous game, career high against the Wizards the other night. On the Rocket side, the same injury report that we've been dealing with here for the last week or so. Tari Eason, Alperen Sengun, and Cam Whitmore are the main rotation players that remain out here for Houston. Any insight on their rotation tonight? Do you think they potentially start Jock Landale to combat Nikola Vucevic, or do you expect them to remain playing small with Jabari at the 5?
No, they like this lineup. Emi Udoka said that they're going to keep sticking with it. Why wouldn't they? They're on a 6-game winning streak, so quite positive that they'll be starting this lineup there. Yeah, Green's on a heater. It does help when you play Wizards twice and 2 in your last 3 games. Just crazy. And he had a couple free throws late, and like they were going to sub him. Like late when this game was like Jalen Green got a lot of blowout because he was, he kind of missed his chance to get subbed when he was at the line. So Udoka said he wasn't career high hunting, which he matched his career high. Just a random note there. But yeah, same starting lineup. We'll see probably a decent bit of Jock Landale. Could see him play a little bit bigger. And I saw a question about Vooch. I mean, he's fine. Jabari's a pretty good post defender, so it's not like as smashy as you would think there. But the guards are going to have, I guess Amen's probably going to, they can't flip it. Yeah, so it would be Dylan on DeMar, then Amen would probably guard Kobe if he's in. So tough matchups all around. So maybe a path of least resistance situation. But Dylan Brooks has been pretty bad. Like his offense has been horrible. He's taking bad shots. He's turning the ball over a little bit. Been making like really easy mistakes. So that could be better for DeMar if they do kind of nuke him a little bit there. But yeah, I think Landale, who I flag planted last game, would have been nice to get some other stats with the 7 blocks, but worked out okay for the flag.
Yeah, I feel like you and Drew always hit on Vucevic taking it into the post a lot against undersized defenders. So that certainly, perks my interest a little bit on potential props, especially with if Kobe does play. Maybe being a little limited and dealing with a tough defensive assignment could potentially funnel more towards Vooch. So I like that insight. Might have to check some props after this, but let's move along to next game on the slate: Utah Jazz at Dallas Mavericks. As you mentioned, the Utah Jazz just filed their injury report, so pull that up here real quick. It looks like John Collins is listed out and Jordan Clarkson is listed out. Apparently, Lauri Markkanen not on the injury report, so we will drop John Collins from the rotation yesterday and add in Lauri Markkanen. Any immediate reaction to the Jazz injury report here and how they'll likely play things tonight?
Yeah, as expected. Here's the injury report on the screen. Yeah, I thought they would sit John yesterday, but they're just going to flip flop him and Lauri Markkanen. Worth noting, they have a top 10 protected pick, and they are sitting right on the border there. So they are heavily incentivized to lose there. We talked about that a little bit on the pod with Dink. So yeah, they'll be rolling out the Walker Kessler starting lineup. Lauri Markkanen will get back in the mix to take Bryce Sensabaugh's spot. So this is really they're going to probably start Chris Dunn again. Like the way the lineup has kind of worked out, they've run into Anthony Edwards twice, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and now they run into 2 really good strong guards in Luka. That was the motivation. On top of that, and they wanted to put Colin Sexton in the 6-man role, and Colin Sexton's been really good in that role, just to shout him out. So yeah, expecting basically the same starting lineup for those guys.
Cool. On the Dallas side, relatively clean injury report there again here. Just Josh Green listed out with that ankle injury that he will be out with for a couple weeks here. So a few G League tags here, but no one in the rotation to cover. Any insight here on the Mavs? I feel like the big conversation or kind of sticking point is the center rotation, how they handle Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, and then Maxi Kleba at small ball. Do you think this is a spot where they can run almost full 48 true center or mix in a little Maxi at center?
Yeah, we saw them mix in late Maxi center minutes, which we liked. We had the live under, so that was nice. But yeah, that they're starting to dial that back, which makes sense. I think they want to kind of amp that up because it's going to be probably a look they're going to go to. So, I mean, blowout's definitely the headline here. Big spread, Jazz traveling on a road back to back, missing some players. So I think they'll probably run it pretty full. The Jazz were a pretty good rebounding team earlier this year. That's obviously dissipated as they've been missing some players. So. But yeah, I think they'll probably be mostly, 42-40. If the game was close, like 42-43 with some Maxi. I think they do want to kind of mix that in a little bit more.
Cool. All right, let's head to the New York Knicks at Denver Nuggets. One of the most exciting games on the slate for sure, as we are dealing with a couple more blowout situations here tonight, as we have all week, it seems like. But yeah, Knicks at Nuggets should be an exciting one. Unfortunately, the Knicks will be without OG Anunoby, who aggravated the elbow injury that caused him to miss a little over a month. So hopefully he can get well soon, as the Knicks have been absolutely rolling with OG in the lineup. But then they're also still without Julius Randle and Mitch Robinson. So typically prior to OG returning, they had been starting Precious Achiuwa at the 4, but made a big switch last game to start Miles McBride, who played almost the full game. And then we also got a full 48 minutes from Josh Hart. So what are you thinking tonight about the starting lineup? They played the Warriors last game, get a bigger matchup with the Nuggets tonight. Do you think they go back to Precious or stick with Miles McBride here?
I think it wasn't matchup based on Tibbs' comments. They said that they want to inject shooting, and they were a little bit worried about teams trapping Brunson so much, which we saw the Kings do. He just killed them with it. So I think that they're going to want to run that again. Maybe Tibbs was lying to like throw people off the scent, but he seemed pretty confident. And I mean, why wouldn't they, right? Like this lineup was great, and Deuce was awesome. So, and hey, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be bad to have another defender on Jamal Murray while you're at it, right? So I kind of am somewhat confident they're going to start Deuce McBride here again, and keep Precious mostly behind Isaiah Hartenstein to cover, pretty much the 48 there for them. I don't have too much else to add there. And then Josh Hart, I think we landed at 41 minutes for possible, like, since it's a somewhat biggish spread and we don't want to really do too much to miss on like, are they going to play him 48 again? I mean, they might at this rate. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I feel pretty confident that Deuce is going to start. And then everything else, I think, is pretty much straightforward.
Cool. It could be dictated a little bit too on the Nuggets side, because Zeke Naji is listed questionable here with back pain. And we saw the Nuggets go small against the Timberwolves the other night, as the Wolves were without Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid. So the Nuggets were able to play small there with Aaron Gordon at the 5. If Zeke Naji is unable to go tonight, how do you think the Nuggets will approach it? Do you think we see any DeAndre Jordan, or do you think we get Aaron Gordon again at the 5 here, especially if Precious is the backup to Isaiah Hartenstein there?
I think they could still go small. I think they want to give this a look. This is kind of going this way anyways. We saw it before Zeke Naji went down. They were running just because they wanted to play Justin Holiday more. So I think they're comfortable going that route. Not 100% sure. We'll definitely give DeAndre Jordan some minutes, but they like this small ball look. And it's not like Precious is like super impactful as a low post banger. He can, run some pick and roll and stuff, but like you're not like freaking out about like, oh my God, we have to cover Precious Achiuwa. So I think it's like a little bit of a head situation. I think they kind of like this look.
Cool. We have a question here from Jeremy King, one of our favorites, asking about Hartenstein minutes tonight. Do you think against Jokic that he has an elevated ceiling? Because Tibbs, probably doesn't trust Jericho Sims, I would imagine, and then Precious giving up a lot of size to Joker. So do you think this could be a ceiling minutes game for Hartenstein?
Yeah, I do. Definitely. Precious is not a good post defender, so this could definitely be a Hartenstein matchup's like not great given the rebound, given Denver being such a strong rebounding team. But hey, minutes are minutes, and maybe he gets hot. So I think that's a good call out.
For sure, yeah. And if he can avoid foul trouble, maybe we get up into the low to mid 30s there on Hartenstein, just for defensive purposes, mainly against the Joker. All right, let's head to the last game on the slate: Atlanta Hawks at Phoenix Suns. It's the back end of a back-to-back for Phoenix, as they made quick work of the 76ers last night. The Hawks are coming into town a bit banged up. Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Sadiq Bey, and Kobe Buffkin all remain out for them. Muhammad Gee and AJ Griffin are also out. And then Wesley Matthews listed questionable here with an illness. So my first question to you is, with Onyeka Okongwu back, if Wesley Matthews is out, do you think we get Okongwu starting at power forward? Do you think they go to your boy DeAndre Hunter, and the curse is finally broken that DeAndre Hunter starts? What are you thinking here for the Hawks tonight and their potential starting lineup?
Well, we know it's not DeAndre Hunter. Like that's just it. That ship has sailed. And if he starts, I may just have to go and like buy a Hunter jersey on the way. I don't know. I think that's too much. Like, you just can't start that big against the Suns, right? I just think that makes no sense. So, expecting, like, if Wes is in, he's probably starting, and then they might go Garrison Matthews, or maybe they start DeAndre Hunter, because you definitely need that kind of defense in this spot. So, if there was a spot to start DeAndre Hunter, it would be this one. but I'm sure my Twitter will be blowing up if he does or doesn't start. I've hitched my wagon to the DeAndre Hunter is going to start eventually, and I'm excited for it today. I like my chances, which is better than 0% for today.
Yeah,
We know
you
Vit
would
Krejci's
think.
going to start. Good.
I was just gonna say you would think they would want one of Wesley Matthews or DeAndre Hunter to man up on Kevin Durant, ideally. But go ahead with your Vic Krejci and other starters.
Yeah, Fitz locked in. They've kind of given him a decent amount of touches. We know DeJounte Murray's got a really big handling role. Bogdan's been off for a couple of days. We saw that illness may have affected him, starting to shoot the ball a little better. So if this game's close, maybe we get that Bogdan ceiling that we weren't getting. And then, no more minutes ceiling for Clint Capella. We've seen him hit a bigger ceiling. Conley returned. We'll see. They probably got to run some overlap just to fill minutes because they're just running out of bodies here. But don't think they'll run too much of it. I think that makes sense to run that when they're running like the Bowl and Eubanks second unit stuff they've been running. So if I'm if I'm on the Atlanta side and I'm trying to figure out where to find minutes, that's probably where I would go. Should mention the Suns. I guess I'll just save my Suns notes when we get to them. But yeah, I think we're West. If West did miss, Jalen Johnson's out a week again. He said he was quote straight after he got hurt. That's apparently not true. If West did miss, Hunter would benefit whether he starts. I don't know. Garrison Matthews, Trent Forrest, and then Veets minutes would be pretty safe here.
Yeah, and I think on that Jalen Johnson note, you and Drew talked about on the award show, he would need to play every game for the rest of the season to potentially be elected most improved player, and that is obviously out the window now that he is out again and likely out a week, as you mentioned there. So tough to see him go out like that, but hopefully he can come back and have a strong finish. Let's head over to the Sun side though. Again, they are on the back end of a back-to-back, so have not officially filed an injury report, but was pretty clean yesterday just with Damian Lee and Josh Okogie listed out. Do you expect any changes here to the Suns injury report tonight on the back end?
There's a chance Okogie goes through, gets upgraded. He was doing some practice work yesterday. I think it's still unlikely. It doesn't look like he's that close, but just keep an eye on that. Royce O'Neal hurt his shoulder yesterday. Frank Vogel pretty much dismissed it. Should be good. And then everybody else came out okay. If you're a box score watcher, you might be like, "Oh, Bradley Beal, what an awful game." He was really impactful. He clamped Tyrese Maxey. It was one of the best defensive games really I've ever seen him play. We saw him guard Dame in the second half, slowed him down a little bit when the Suns made that run. So Bradley Beal, defensive stopper, is that where we are right now? Which, he's gonna, if he gets to guard DeJounte Murray, that's a lot to ask out of him. So like Dink talks about this more than I do, that like when you're taking on a big defensive role, that like hurts your offense just because you're exerting so much energy. So like Beal getting this, if he gets this role again, and I think he might not though. Like, do you want to give that role to Bradley Beal, who's hurt all the time, and in a back-to-back? I don't know, but it worked, and they need wins. And Frank Vogel talking about how like this is like every game's like a playoff game. They gotta win like every single game they can get. Like they, if they go 500 and the Lakers get hot, like that could be really, really bad. That's mostly it. Everything else I think is pretty much straightforward. Eric Gordon's been awful. Complete no-show. Only shot 2 times, no threes. He's not looked right. I'm not sure if it's injury related, not listed, but Eric Gordon's just lost so much momentum lately. And Royce O'Neal's minutes were down a little bit from the shoulder injury. I think he's going to be okay and kind of back at it. But expect the Suns to play a lot of minutes. Again, they've got no margin of error if they want to try to climb out of the play-in.
Yeah, luckily a nice soft spot here in the schedule for the Suns. They cleaned up on the Sixers last night. They welcomed the Hawks tonight as 9-point favorites, so pretty hefty favorites. And then they head to San Antonio for a 2-game stand in San Antonio. So match up with the Hawks tonight and then 2 games against the Spurs. Hopefully they can go 3-0 for their purposes. As you mentioned, super tight in the Western Conference. The Suns, Mavericks, and Kings are all within a half game of each other, jockeying between the 6 and 8 spot. So obviously if the Suns can get up to the 6th spot, they won't be subjected to the play-in tournament. A lot can go on here in the last few weeks here in the Western Conference. Can be super tight standings wise. So hopefully for the Suns that they can stay healthy and pull some games out here down the stretch. All right. Any other news and notes here before we get out of here, Mike?
No. If I wasn't clear on Utah, Taylor Hendricks, I didn't mention his name. He's going to start, like for sure. Just to be clear there, I kind of said he's going to take Bryce Sensabaugh's spot, so I didn't line up the lineups, which I missed. So, Chris Dunn, Keontae George, Laurie Marketing, Taylor Hendricks, and then Walker Kessler, my starting lineup. So my only omission. Well, I usually like to give out the starting lineups there.
Sounds great. Well, that will do it for us today on this edition of the Established Run NBA Injury Analysis Show. As always, we ask for your support in promoting this free content by liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We are closing in on 5,000 subscribers, which is our goal by the end of the season. So if you have not yet subscribed, please go down below this video and click like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot here to keep this content free and keep all this great information at your disposal. If you have any interest in getting access to our behind the paywall content, you can head to establishedrun.com/subscribe-MBA to access all of our packages there. We had a nice 5-2 night on the prop streets last night. Hopefully have a nice end stretch here to the regular season, utilizing Mike and Drew's tips for, how to bet and beat the books as the NBA approaches the end of the season. But that will do it for us today. Hopefully
I got a little update for you here.
Okay.
The Bucks just filed. So we got no Middleton and we got Giannis questionable. So pretty much expected there. So we pretty much summed up, but just want to note we got that.
Cool. Yeah, nice to get clarity on Middleton there. That obviously makes sense just given the back-to-back. But hopefully tomorrow we get a fantastic Friday with Justin Fan joining you and Drew. I believe tonight on the DFS show, it'll be you and Drew as well. So big content day for Mike and Drew as they recorded the pod this morning and then have the DFS show tonight. So if you guys would like access to that, again, behind the paywall, they will be dropping all sorts of knowledge at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We do that every day, Monday through Friday, to get you guys ready for the slate ahead for DFS. But that will do it for us today. Hope everyone has a great day out there. If you are watching college basketball, hope it goes well for you and have a great one out there. Peace out.